that goes like this. Anderson, think it through. There's still a few months before they lock the cage door behind me and you. Last time, they raised your hand, but it was plain to see. I took a lot more out of you than you took out of me. I broke the mirror, and I blew away the smoke. It was me who tapped, but it was you who broke. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for Chael Sonnen!
Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hulkster, whatever they call you, I'm coming after you, you coward! I think it damn Hulk said you set it off. Set it off! Used to be hard Hulk, now you done turned soft. Doing telephone commercials, I seen ya. Dancing in tight as a ballerina. I knew all along you had those tendencies. Cause you've been running from you like I got a disease. Dude, please, your pay-per-view event was a joke. You're avoiding Randy Savage cause you know you'll get smoked. Come on, that phony fight the Rock's face too fast. But when I challenge Hogan to a real fight, he passed. I called him out, but the punk was scared to go. It was a charity event, but the Hulk didn't show. Hollywood Hulkster, you're at the end of your rope. And I'ma kick you in the butt and wash your mouth out with soap. Cause, like Rodney Dangerfield, you get no respect. So come on, Hulk, let's wreck so I can put you in check. Be a man, Hulk! Come on, don't be scared. You're running from macho, that's what I heard. Be a man, Hogan! Come on, don't be a chump. I never thought Hulk would go wild like a punk. Be a man, Hulk! Come on, don't be scared. You're running from macho, that's what I heard. Be a man, Hogan! Boy, you's a chump. Cause Hulk Hogan is a real big punk. They call you Hollywood? Don't make me laugh, cause your movies and your action skills are both crap. Your movie straight to video, the box office can't stand. While I got myself a feature role in Spider-Man. You hide the man, but when I find you, it's gone. And when I slam it through the dirt, you wish you was ever born. I smell a coward, is that you, Hogan? Macho's gonna kick your butt is the slogan. You tried to ignore me thinking I'll go away, but I'ma keep on living with you day after day. And once you step two, Macho, you through. The joke's on you, so Hulk, what you gonna do? Probably nothing, cause you're a real big punk. You call my dad up on the phone, man, you's a chump. Cause if you really got static, take it up with me. And I'll pump your butt out for the world to see. Be a man, Hulk, come on.
What is up, buddies? You're listening to Cauliflower 40 Years. Remember, our call number is 347-326-9741. 347-326-9741. This is Brian the Butcher Brown, also known as Mr. Perfect. I had to play that a little bit longer just because I'm just so proud of myself. Joining me tonight, as usual, are two sacks of shit who, of course, were not nearly as perfect as I was Saturday night. Michael Delicious, why don't you say hello to the people?
What's up, creepies? I'll get into my own analysis as to why I didn't go to perfect, but for the meantime, listen to this fuck stick. And, of course, the man who thought he was cruising his way to his third straight Fantasy W, Nick Frank. What's up over the
I'm still supremely confident in victory, and as I told you earlier, 3 for 3, one of these shortened events, doesn't really call for the Mr. Perfect music.
Wait, pal, this is 2 in a row, and you know what? If you guys would just showed up 2 weeks ago, all right, I didn't go perfect on that card that you guys were present for, but I did go 3 out of 4 with 2 perfect picks that night. So you know what? I'm going to steal some credit from there too, and continue this Mr. Perfect thing. So, you know, now that I'm on top, Franco, and you've given up the top spot after how many weeks in the lead have you been?
I don't know. It was probably 4 or 5. I didn't have the lead. I think one of you two had the lead in the beginning, and then I overtook it in like 3 or 4. But it's still really close. All 3 of us, that's 8 down, 2 to go. And all 3 of us are within 8 points of each other. So, starting off Saturday night, you were 3 out of 3 dubs. You got 19 points. 2 of the fights you picked perfectly, and Dolan was 2 out of 3 for 10 points. Myself, only 1 out of 3 for 5 points. A pretty piss poor showing out of me. Got to be honest. And the
Go on.
The fantasy totals after 8 weeks are third place, Delicious, 144. I am in second place with 146. And first place is the Ginger himself, the Butcher, Brian Brown, 152. So it's 152, 146, 144. It's very close.
Yeah, it's not close enough because I know I'm going to pull off another perfect event this Saturday. I'm going to bury you guys.
You're right. It's not close enough. You're going to need a bigger lead than that to take this thing home. You're exactly right when you said that.
I don't know, pal. I think next week it's game over for you and Dolan.
Hey, take it easy. Take it easy, Bob.
Oh, jeez, I'm sorry. I'm stepping all over you. I apologize. But I think the track record has proven that I'm coming on strong now, and I ain't going backwards, all right? I mean, you guys wanted to put the boots to me when I trailed, I guess, the first 3 or 4 events. But I started gaining some steam, and you tried to sit there and poke fun and, make your little jokes about me. And now I don't think it's feeling too good now that you're looking up at my sweet red ass cheeks.
We even stood in protest one week, Dubs. We didn't even fucking show up. Apparently that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough to stop this kid. He's a hurricane, dude. It's unbelievable. I'm not even going to wait for you guys to try to get into it, though. The reason I didn't go perfect was that Brazilian fucking pussy, Damian Maia. That was the saddest. That was ridiculous. If I were Dana White, I'd fire that brown fuck. It was ridiculous.
Wow. Jesus.
Holy shit.
First of all, he gets a shot at arguably one of the top 5 biggest events that this organization's ever had, and I mean more as far as needing people to deliver. He fights a guy on 11 days' notice who is stepping up in competition, and granted, they both had 11 days, but Weidman wasn't really, probably ready to fight, and a guy like Maia, who is maybe like low level, the lowest of the top level, if not like top of the second tier. And basically, he just feigted a jab all day and just had a big overhand left. And the most disappointing thing was when Weidman took him down, he tried to get up as if he was killing him on the feet. Like 2 minutes into that fight, I knew I was screwed. I was pissed at myself too because I was on the fence last week, and Franco was such a salesman. I was just like, you know what, this jerk off's always right. He's always winning. I might as well go with him. And I picked Maia, and now I'm looking for his family's hut just to drop a fucking nuke.
Yeah, that's
you're right too. And Weidman cut 37 pounds in 11 days. He was 222. He was 222 when they called him to fight, and then 11 days later he got down to 185. And like you said, Dolan, I don't know what Maia was thinking. You're exactly right. Whenever they went to the ground, Maia was the one that was, he did a good job actually getting back to his feet. But like you said, what was he trying to get back to his feet for? Not to say that Weidman was picking him apart, but Weidman was getting the better of the stand-up. At a certain point in the fight, you didn't really know what Maia's game plan was because it's like, all right, go to the ground with him. Maybe he gets sloppy. Maybe you're able to cinch something in and finish the fight. But if you guys get back to the feet, he's just going to outpoint you like he's been doing for the first 12 minutes of this fight. It didn't make any sense to me either.
And Weidman's got good gist, dude. It's not like Weidman's a slouch on the ground, but you're a second-degree black belt. Like, this is what you do. This is why you got in here. Weidman trains with Sarah and Ray Longo, and, he's definitely from a good camp. He's certainly an up-and-comer. But like you said, it's not like he was doing well on the feet. So it wasn't even like he had false confidence. Like he's like, all right, I got to get up. Weidman was probably happy to let him get up because he was getting the better of him on the feet, and he was getting the points for the takedown. So there was just at no point he was ever in danger. Maia didn't throw a jab till the second round. He was just throwing like overhand lefts. I could have stood there and sparred with that guy and probably not gotten hurt. And he's a professional fighter. And I don't know if he got this false confidence from his last couple of outings. He looked better striking, and everybody was kind of sipping the Kool-Aid, saying Maia's hands are getting better. They look good against Munoz, but I don't know, man. Like he's not the most compelling fighter in the first place. Granted, Dana White should do me a personal favor to put his kids through fucking college, buying all these pay-per-views and getting rid of this guy. But more importantly, dude, like he's already proven that he can get towards the top, and he's not that championship-level fighter. So if that's a performance he's going to give you on a night that you need people to sack up and belly up, and you've been at this level of comp, and you got a kid who cut, 37 pounds in 11 days, I mean, it's ridiculous. It looked like he had never been out there. It looked like he didn't want to be out there. And he looked like the guy with the worst cardio between the two. So it didn't make any sense whatsoever. I would be done with this dude.
Yeah, it made no sense. I mean, obviously Maia knew that he was fighting that night. There was no surprises for him. obviously the change of opponent, is going to make you fight a different fight. But like you guys are saying, for a guy who's such a jiu-jitsu whiz, to not try to do something on the ground when he wasn't really getting the better of it really makes no sense. But it wasn't exactly the way.
Not to mention, let me just get in there too, that he was fighting a guy originally who was a pure striker, who his goal would have been to take him to the ground. So he was training there to go to that regimen. So it's not like all of a sudden Weidman is this world-class jiu-jitsu, artist that I can't go to the ground with this guy when you're a second-degree black belt. And this kid's a collegiate wrestler who's been doing this for 2 years. Like, it was a joke, man. It was an absolute joke. There's nowhere for this guy to go. I don't think anyone wants to see him fight. Everyone wants to see him fight for free midway through.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he just disrespected Weidman's hands and thought that his better chance to finish the fight was on his feet. I mean, he got off good in the middle of the second round, Maya, but like you pointed out, it looked like his gas tank went out right when he got all those strikes off. And then, obviously Weidman was gassed, but he had a little bit more in the gas tank and just willed himself to the decision victory.
Yeah, not even
it looked to me. It looked to me as though I think Joe Rogan, might even have mentioned it during the fight, but Maya seemed to be just loading up on that left hand earlier in the fight, and then it was obvious that he gassed, and Weidman had the excuse to gas. He's the one that got the call on short notice. Maya had supposedly has been training the whole time, and to sort of kick the card off that way, I thought was sort of disappointing, whereas the first card on Fox was that quick fight, and that was somewhat disappointing. I thought overall this card was pretty disappointing too. I think now we've had two cards on Fox. I don't think either of them has really sort of displayed to the casual fan what the sport has to offer. I think this was a pretty boring night of fights. I enjoyed them because there was a little bit of technique, and the Bisping Chow fight was good, but, I mean, this was a terrible fight. If somebody was flipping through the remote and they saw that the UFC was on Fox and they tuned in at 8:15 and they were watching this fight, I don't know how many of those fans they retained to watch the rest of the card because it was sort of a sloppy, pretty overall just a boring fight.
And they wouldn't get it, Nick, the casual fan. Coming into this, they, as much as they hate it and chastise it and say it's barbaric and animalistic, those people would probably tune in to see somebody get knocked out. That's what they're looking for. I mean, the first card was a heavyweight title fight. It was the first one on Fox, so it had a lot of hype. It was 64 seconds long, and then it was a lot of fluff. There's nothing you can do about that, though. I mean, would I like it to have been longer than 64 seconds? Yes. But there's nothing you can really do when you sign up for that kind of a fight. But a casual fan is going to say, I just don't get it now. What is this all about? And people like the three of us and the people in the chat room right now, they enjoyed it because they actually know the sport and they know technique. So we can enjoy it, but we can enjoy it spending $60, dude. That's not the market they're going after. I thought it was a weak night of fights. I was pleased with the outcome because it got us two of the one rematch that we wanted with Sonnen and Silva, and it got us the Rashad Evans John Jones fight. So the end result was what we wanted. But yeah, I mean the first UFC on Fox did $8.8 million, and then this one did half that. It did $4 million, and it did nothing to make people come back or kind of invite the casual fan now. So I mean, there's a lot of talk too. The UFC played it safe. So I don't know what you boys think about that. I guess they caught a lot of flack for kind of the quick knockouts that Dos Santos had. So they kind of played it safe, people said, and gave you 3 fights. They figured might at least 2 of them go to a decision to kind of, give more time and then actually fill it. Because they're playing with different ball game now, dude. They're playing with Fox. There's no fucking around. This doesn't work out. Not only will you not get picked up again, you won't get a shot anywhere else.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. Just about the viewership, real quick. I'll let you go in a sec, Dubs. The 8.7 million on the first one, that was what it peaked at. The average was 5.7. So This one, so it's a little bit less. So they didn't tell us what the peak number was. So the first one averaged 5.7, and like you said, this one averaged somewhere in the 4s. So it wasn't half, but it was down a little bit. And yeah, I definitely think they played safe. Go ahead, Dubs. You were going to say.
It's a little bit. It's definitely a little bit less than the UFC on Fox 1 numbers. But this also didn't have the marketing blitz, that special show that they did for the one heavyweight fight that they put on. What's that?
And it was twice as long.
Right. It was twice as long, but they didn't put out the marketing. They really didn't promote it right. And I'm not saying that had anything to do with what happened in the cage. And as for what did happen in the cage, they would have lost out if they would have been quick finishes again as well, even if they were quick submissions, because like you guys are pointing out, the casual fan that they're trying to grab ain't going to understand that either. So, I'm not saying it was really a successful, great event on Saturday, but, it kind of showed a little bit more technique, and, it's introducing people to what can go on in the cage, and possibly the next event. I mean, the next event, you already have Nate Diaz and Jim Miller signed to fight. They're still fleshing out that card. I mean, that fight definitely has potential to really show what the UFC is about and how exciting it can be. So, I think people are going to come back because they're still going to be curious. But I don't think flash knockouts or flash submissions were really going to be that great either. And, I know Phil Davis is a great up-and-comer, but I don't think anybody seriously felt he had any shot in that fight at all. I would have rather seen Rashad finish him and knock him out. But, what happened in that main event is exactly what I think we all felt was going to happen, that Rashad was going to dominate that fight. And, of course, I think we all picked Rashad to knock out Phil Davis, but, of course, it didn't go that way. But it's it looked boring, but it just kind of shows people that there's all these different things that go on in there. So, I think you're both right that maybe the casual fan doesn't have a shit ton of incentive, but I think curiosity is definitely peaked.
And if the UFC were smart, dude, they would put these, and I think they're thinking that way now with, if we can get a nice fight to couple with Nate Diaz and Jim Miller, put these lighter weight classes up on these Fox cards, because people will lose their minds if they saw a Nate Diaz-Cerrone fight play out the way it did. And guess what?
Absolutely.
You got lucky. Bonner Griffin isn't going to happen again, dude. So you got lucky with the first thing on Spike, and it really kind of catapulted everything. But if you want to put asses in the seats, put a 155, a 145, and a 135 fighter, or a 155, 145, and then, like a heavyweight, whatever you want to do. But these lighter guys are going to be what make people just lose their mind, seeing the frenetic pace they keep and the shots that they take. And it's all about putting asses in the seats. You know who does put asses in the seats? Blog Talk Radio. My man Aaron Carter is going to be on here. The triple threat, dude. Sit down with Lenore. Woo-hoo!
Holy shit. That next Fox card, Jim Miller and Nate Diaz, it's at the eyes on Dirty Jers, fools.
Yeah, let's see if Roto will send us. I'm sure they'll send us to do some groundbreaking interviews.
I'm expecting tickets. I'm definitely expecting tickets.
Let's see what
I'm going to be in the parking lot huffing glue and taking whippets. Give me a microphone.
Big Dick Hansen in the chat room says he's waiting to see if the Fox Sports desk is going to be the kiss of death for fighters. I guess talking about Brock Lesnar. And then John Jones.
John Jones sucks, dude.
Oh, my God. He's spinning in the chair like an 8-year-old. He was looking down at his paper. I go, fuck around on Twitter while I'm watching the fights, and he's like tweeting between commercials like, I'm so nervous, I never get this nervous. It's like, dude, it was a terrible choice putting him out there. Randy Couture was awesome. He should be a mainstay. Yeah. Every single Fox card they do, he should be in that seat. And the third guy should be, Kenny Florian or Frank Mir. Brock Lesnar was okay.
Stephen Bonner?
Stephen Bonner was good, too. Brock Lesnar was okay. Dana White was terrible. John Jones is terrible. Just because these guys are popular doesn't mean they need to be out there, because they're not, they're not analysts. Couture was good. Everybody else they've had so far hasn't really been that good.
And Couture's an actor, too, dude, so he actually has poise. He knows direction and different directives on when to look at a camera, when not to. And they went the charismatic route, right? Lesnar and Jones are both very charismatic, well-spoken guys. Doesn't mean it's always going to translate to being a good commentator. Like you said, give me KJ, give me, if you want to keep Couture great, or then rotate it with, Florian, Bonner, or I love Glazer, dude. Jay Glazer's fucking awesome. I take him every single time.
Well, Florian's back's broken now, so they might as well just put him in that chair. I don't think he's
going
to be fighting
mean,
anymore. Right?
Too. He looked mean on Fuel TV, dude. Florian, I don't think he's looking to hit the gym anytime soon, man.
Yeah, he's done. I forget what it is, because, of course, I just skipped over the article. I don't know exactly what's wrong with his back, but I know his career's in question. So just moving into the Fox announcing seat. Huh?
Have him come fight Maya and do wonders for your career.
But obviously they shoved John Jones out there. It stuck him in, and he looked like a deer in the headlights because of the implications with Rashad. And, obviously that's going to be on pay-per-view, but, they were trying to dangle this, title holder, and obviously the main event had title implications, so they were trying to gain interest and everybody to tune in to see that fight. So they were trying to make incentive for people to stick around in case what did end up happening it did happen, and it was a stinker the first fight out. So how are you going to keep people there unless you create these stories for them to stick around? So that's why they really put him in that seat.
No, it's relevant, and it worked out that way that we wanted. But and Rashad took no damage, really, right? Like we're good to go, right? It sounds like April.
He looked good.
Cool. He looked awesome.
Nothing's come out yet. So I mean, obviously they went 5 rounds. He was definitely tired as fuck. But I mean, I didn't see Phil Davis really inflict anything on him. The only thing that's going to happen is if he broke his hand again, which obviously when you break your hand,
exactly.
it's always a possibility.
Hand, or like he took some leg kicks to that's like Franklin broke his arm, something flukish. Where you're checking a kick or blocking it, but it looked like he took no damage, and he looked awesome, dude. And at the end of the day, if he's going to beat John Jones, we saw him implement the template on how he's going to do it or attempt to do it.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, with that being said, as much as I'm rooting for him, I just don't see it happening.
I don't know,
because Phil Davis is an elite wrestler, but John Jones has better MMA wrestling, and if Rashad clinches with John Jones like that, he has so many crazy judo throws, and when he has to get the cage with the spinning back elbow, I just think he'd get caught, and then he takes the striking. I mean, John Jones is an elite-level striker. So as Rashad looked good, he couldn't finish. Rashad is so fast, his hands look great. I'll be pulling for him in that fight, but I just don't see it, man. And to not be able to finish Davis, I just don't see how you're going to get in there with a motivated John Jones and being able to take him out, unless he has something just from the training that he knows he's susceptible to different things.
Yeah, but I don't
know, dude.
But let me just, I think Rashad could have finished Phil Davis. I just think he fought a smart fight. I don't think at no point throughout the fight was he in any trouble whatsoever. He was controlling the fight. He won every single round. So I know I was reading a lot of things. People said, he couldn't finish him. I think he could have finished him, but it wasn't really necessary. And he's one of used to fight with Jackson. Obviously now he has his own camp. He's always got a really smart game plan, and I think he had a perfect game plan and put himself in no danger. So to say that he couldn't finish him, I think is a little unfair. I think if he really had to, he could have. I just don't think he wanted to take the chance to do it.
And not only
I agree with you 100%, Franco. I think that's exactly what happened because, I've kind of changed my mind after watching that fight and just seeing how focused Rashad seemed in the post-fight interview and stuff like that. I think he was trying to save himself because he already has gotten screwed out of that title shot twice now because of injuries that I think, like you said, if all of a sudden Phil Davis put on an onslaught and he needed to use it and finish him, he would have. But he wanted to make sure he stayed fresh, didn't take any major damage, and he wants that fight. And, obviously, like Dolo said, John Jones is an elite-level striker, and we've all questioned Rashad's chin, even though he's only been knocked out the one time. He has been jelly-legged in the ring. But I think he was saving it because he didn't want to get injured and lose his spot again. And I don't know. I'm not 100% convinced, but I think I'm slowly turning the corner and thinking Rashad might actually pull this off.
And I agree, dude, that he definitely fought the smart fight, and at no time was he in trouble at all. He was doing whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted. It took him a little bit to figure out the distance, but it was a good kind of preface for John Jones because I think Phil Davis has the second longest reach in the division behind John Jones.
Yeah.
So he certainly could have finished him at any point. I just started to get worried towards the end that he would be so kind of cautious and smart he'd get caught like the Tiago Silva fight, and that's what was my concern was. I was pulling for him the whole fight. He always has amazing game plans, but I think him and GSP are not only the best at game planning, but the execution is second to none with him and GSP. You never see him get caught up, and I think the Rampage fight is also going to be a nice precursor for the Jones fight, and I don't know if Jones will be able to harness the emotion like Rampage wasn't. Rashad hates Rampage, and they both came out, and Rampage went to go nuts, and the first thing Rashad did was take him down and put him on his ass. I think John Jones is certainly saying, I want to have this chapter in my life and all this shit. I think Rashad's definitely in his head, and he might try to just finish him so quick to make a statement. I just think he's so good that even if he makes some mistakes, anybody can be caught, dude. I'm far from saying that he's perfect, but I think that Jones will get it done at the end of the day. But I think we should call it Dick Hansen CompuBox. We said Evans threw 106 strikes, Davis threw 61. So certainly the more active, effective, efficient striker throughout the entire thing. And Davis definitely, Davis had been working on his striking. That was apparent. He threw some serious right kicks to the head and to the shins. But Rashad did a great job. I mean, Rashad broke skin. Davis was bleeding just from his getting his kicks checked. So, I mean, Rashad looked awesome, dude. I'm pulling for him. I'd love to see it, but, you know, Johnny Jones is already looking at heavyweight. Came out today that apparently he went to Dana and the Fertittas and said, listen, I want to fight heavyweight in 2012, and they basically told him to calm the fuck down. And you're fighting at 205, and you're gonna do what we tell you to do. And there's still guys here that are here to fight. I mean, have him fight Rashad if he wins. Have him fight Hendo, and after that, see if you can do a super fight with Anderson Silva. If not, then you start looking at heavyweight. Because you're 24 years old, and you haven't cleaned out the division yet. But if you win those 2 fights, you beat Rashad, who's the number 2, Hendo's to the 3, and then he's beaten 3 through 6 these last couple months. So then you can have an argument. But the fact that this kid's already looking there, and I know that this kid believes his own hype. You can look at him, you can tell this kid believes his own hype, and that might be his downfall to where it wasn't GSP. That's where when GSP got flipped by Sarah, that was it. He realized he had been drinking the Kool-Aid, and the guy is changed. He won't go to kill you anymore, but that guy will refuse to put himself in a spot to lose.
Super fight with Anderson Silva, Mikey. And what happens when Chael Sonnen goes and retires Anderson Silva in the summer?
If it happens, great, but I don't think it's going to happen, bro. I don't know if Chael Sonnen is going to get out of there alive, dude. He better hope he loses.
As far as Rashad goes, if I think Rashad's got a solid shot in the fight. The odds makers came out. They had John Jones minus 600, Rashad plus 450. I think that's a little crazy.
That's
I think he's more like a 3-1 underdog. But if he can go and beat John Jones, Rashad Evans might be the best fighter ever, or the best fighter at least of this generation. Because if you look at this guy's record and who he's fought and who he's beat, and you know the fact he does have that one loss against Machida, and I honestly think if they fought again, I think Rashad would beat him.
Yeah.
If he can derail this kid's hype and beat this kid, I mean, he's an all-time great. He brings it every single fight. He's always got a great game plan. He's good everywhere. He's got crisp striking. He's really fast on his feet. Like you said, he sets up his wrestling with his striking. He's got possibly the best MMA wrestling in the game. He's just awesome. And John Jones now, I read the same thing that you read, Dylan. He said he wants to fight Rashad, then he wants to fight Henderson, then he wants a top 10 heavyweight by the end of the year. It's like, you know what? I know that he's good, and he knows that he's good, but I don't think he should be looking past Rashad. He's already looking two fights past Rashad, and Rashad's going to be training with a chip on his shoulder, and he has that confidence in his eyes that I think he thinks that he can beat John Jones. I don't think it's a false confidence. I think Rampage was trying to get to Jones' head, and he knew that he was fucked. I think Rashad truly thinks that he can win that fight, and I think that's going to make it interesting.
He does everything at an elite level, Rashad. There is not one hole in his game. We've seen him do everything from striking with the hands and the feet. Like you said, one of the best, if not the best, MMA wrestling, amazing game planning, world-class wrestling. There's nothing he can't do. If anybody can beat John Jones, it's this guy. And I would go a step further and say Rashad knows he can beat John Jones. I know he can beat him as well. It's a matter of can he get it done at the right time. I think if they fight 10 times, I think Jones probably maybe wins 6 out of 10. Or they split. That's something I'm not. 6-1 underdog is a joke. The people setting that, I think they might almost be trying to bait people into doing different things. But that's insane. I can never understand. Guy's 23-1-1 and has done nothing but fight elite competition. That's a joke that he's 6-1. I'm gonna put money on that right now.
Yeah.
Just for the upside, dude. Jesus.
So going. How about that? Obviously, we had Bisping Sonnen, probably the best fight of the night, in my opinion. I picked Bisping. You guys both picked Sonnen. I scored the fight. I like to score it round by round as I'm watching it, so I can't complain at the end of the fight about the decision. I think if you look at that fight, at least in my opinion, if that were Pride judging, and if you scored the fight as a whole, Pride style, or the way they do it in K1, I feel like Bisping looked like the better fighter that night. But if you go round by round, I did score it. I scored 2 rounds for 1 Sonnen. It was really close. Rounds 1 and 2 really could have gone either way. 3 was definitely Sonnen, but the big Bisping surprised a lot of people. I think he surprised Sonnen with, number one, how strong he was, and I think he hit a little bit harder than Sonnen thought. I was really disappointed because I was pulling for Bisping, and I thought he fought a really good fight. But even like Sonnen said, he had him hurt in that first round, and Bisping didn't realize it, so he didn't jump on him. Did you guys both think that Sonnen won that decision?
I got to be honest, and I actually, the first round was so close, I gave it to Bisping, and the second round was close too, but I thought it was more clear-cut for Michael Bisping. So obviously when they started reading the scores and the 30-27 came off, that changes things. But at the time, I really thought Bisping was going to get his hand raised. I thought he was definitely, controlling the fight on the feet more. I know Sonnen got the 2 takedowns in the first round, but I didn't think he did much with them. And that's what I thought. I thought Bisping was working more when they were against the cage. And the second round, I felt Bisping opened up the striking more. So, I wasn't disappointed with the decision. I felt it was really close and could have won either way, but I definitely felt it was going to go the other way. But it was really close. I wasn't shocked either way.
I wasn't going to be mad however it played out. I honestly expected Bisping's hand to get raised. I felt like first round went to Bisping. I thought second round went to Sonnen, and the third was clearly Sonnen. I did, man.
That's what I scored.
Second round was more Bisping.
That's what I scored it first round for Bisping and 2 and 3 for Sonnen.
Yeah, that's how I took
really?
it. I took it down too, man. But even barring that, because it's so interchangeable, like you said, Dubs. I mean, at 1 and 2, you were on the fence with either one. I just don't think that the 30-27 is a joke. I'm sorry, it's a jazz. But I was, at the end of the day, I was uber impressed with Michael Bisping. And I agree with Dick Hansen in the chat room. He says, not Sonnen's best fight, but I felt like he did control the fight, and I do agree. But I was blown away by Bisping's ability to get up, and more importantly, to control Sonnen against the cage. When they were in the tie clinch and the dirty boxing, Sonnen couldn't keep him against the cage. Anytime he had Bisping against the cage, he would spin him easily, and you would lose Sonnen in Bisping. You couldn't see him. And these are 2 guys who fought at 205, respectively. So they're both big 185ers. I was uber impressed with Michael Bisping. I wanted the Sonnen fight just to see, okay, did Sonnen have the best night ever coupled with Anderson Silva's off night, or is Sonnen really good enough to beat Anderson Silva? And if that Sonnen shows up against Anderson Silva in Brazil that showed up against Michael Bisping, he's going to get fucking mauled. And
get destroyed.
I think he's going to learn from it. I think he's going to fight a smart fight. But at the end of the night, a highlight, Michael Bisping looked awesome. As much as I dislike him as a person and his personality, that guy is amazing. I thought Franco was going to pull one out of his hat there.
I did too, and I thought Bisping looked amazing as well. And I got to give him his just due. But now as close a fight as it was, and Sonnen admitted he had it hurt. Do you think Sonnen might have went in and been phased a little bit, knowing that with all this shit that he's talked, if he loses here, he looks like a fucking asshole. Maybe he kind of changed up his game plan, figuring Bisping doesn't have enough wrestling to really keep me off of him, and I'm just going to use that. I'm going to fight a safe fight, too. Maybe he held back a little, kind of like we were saying about Rashad. What do you guys feel about that?
No, it's fair. That's a fair point. It's always a realistic possibility. We've seen it time and time again, especially in the 155-pound division, that whenever a fighter is one fight away, and whether it's someone's injury or, another fight in the wings is what's holding off that shot, when they hold the number one contendership and then put it on the line, whether voluntarily or involuntarily, they tend to fight safe, and it never works out. So I think Sonnen, I don't think he'll fight safe against Anderson Silva, but it almost cost him. It really almost cost him this time.
I agree.
Because if Bisping's hand got raised...
Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't disagree with you guys more. I don't think he was holding back whatsoever. I just think that he had his hands full, and, like you said, he did enough to eke out the victory, but he was able to take him down early in the fight a couple times. Bisping was able to pop up. I thought Sonnen did better on his feet than I thought. Sonnen's really good at coming forward with strikes and pressuring, and then sort of transitioning into some sort of a takedown or to, a clinch or something like that. I think Bisping was better everywhere than he thought, and obviously, like you said, on the cage, you probably surprised him. I think that Sonnen had a tough weight cut. It's really drawn out at the weigh-in. I noticed that right away. Bisping looked healthy and energetic. Sonnen's face was all sunken in. His cheekbones were sticking out. So I thought he looked really bad at the weigh-in, and that gave me a little bit more confidence that Bisping was going to win. So that might be a factor. Maybe he was, he wasn't in top condition because he had a tough weight cut. I think that, Sonnen said in the post-fight interview that during that 15 minutes, he didn't feel comfortable one time. He said that, if Bisping's hands would have gotten raised, I would have accepted it. Dana White said he thought Bisping won. I don't think he fought a smart fight. I just don't think I think he thought he was going to be able to go in there and just bulldoze him with his wrestling, and he wasn't able to do that, so I think he did enough to get the decision, but I just think both guys were sort of in survival mode because the fight was so close.
I don't know if it was the weight cut, because in that fight with Anderson Silva, he definitely was more explosive, and his double leg is second to none in MMA, and they kept beating that home, Rogan and Goldie, and they constantly just are homers, but sometimes they do get it right. His double leg was impressive. It was kudos to Bisping for being able to get up. But maybe it was the weight cut, because if he were coming in like that and kind of lethargically, and he just seems kind of lethargic on the feet, that Bisping caught him a couple times clean. Anderson Silva had caught him like that a few times in their fight, or if he does, I don't think anybody can stand in front of Anderson Silva and take clean shots like that. So hopefully he gets his shit right, he gets his weight cut right. No matter what, the guy always comes to fight, and you always bring it, on camera. And now we're going to have a motivated Anderson Silva. I hope it's in Brazil. It should be awesome. I'm just glad he won. But wouldn't have been mad if Bisping did, because Bisping looked awesome.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been robbery.
I'm sorry, real quick, to that point, even Dick Hansen made a point, and it's true. Everybody's saying, we've said it on the show even, that if he shows up like that against Anderson Silva, he's going to get knocked out, but it's a different fight. Anderson Silva doesn't have good takedown defense. It's a completely different stylistic matchup. So, he was in there, he went in there, he wasn't really able to take this thing down and hold him down like he was able to do against Anderson, but that's not to say that the fight with Anderson doesn't play out exactly like the last fight, because their skill sets are different. I'm not even shooting my own horse because I was wrong, Bisping lost, but I think that Bisping matched up pretty well against Sonnen, and I think that Sonnen matches up much better with Anderson Silva than he does with Bisping. So, I'm not so sure that Sonnen was as bad as people say that he was, or if it was just sort of a bad matchup for him, with the fact that, Bisping, he's got pretty solid takedown defense. He's probably a physically stronger guy than Anderson. So, I'm just because of that performance Saturday night, I'm not so sure that, it makes his chances against Anderson, any less because of the way he looks.
Yeah, I'm far from on and off, but all I heard there was just this long horn getting beat and getting bumped. So I didn't understand any of that, Nick. I just heard this horn getting played, and then a big slap on one's back.
Yeah, no.
I thought you were serious for a second, like my phone was fucked up. What was the matter?
Hey, just because you say with all due respect at first doesn't give you the right to say whatever you want. What? Sure as heck does.
Well, I guess we're going to move to the next card.
I want to fucking catch up with Dubs, that pussy.
Let's do it.
What was that? Buddy? I was just getting to that. But, all right, UFC 143, Diaz versus Condon, obviously the main event. Nick Diaz versus Carlos Condon and Dolo. How do you see this one going?
I'm torn. These are two of my favorite 170 pounders.
Sure.
We know the MO of both these guys. I mean, Diaz is just extremely complete. He's got cardio for days. Gets in people's heads. He's a great striker. World-class jiu-jitsu. Carlos Condon has looked like unbeatable in the last year and a half. He's been an absolute machine. I think he's salivating for any fight, let alone this fight. It's been a while, and it's been kind of, up and down. He was first supposed to fight BJ, then it was GSP, then he lost the shot against GSP, and then Diaz and him wind up fighting for the interim. It's going to be an amazing fight. I'm rooting for Diaz, but I think Condon's going to catch him, dude. As much as I think Diaz is uber complete, I'll be pissed at myself if I don't pick Condon, because my gut tells me he might just catch him early and finish him, because the guy is an absolute finisher. And if Diaz wins, I won't be upset, because I want to see Diaz GSP, but I was just disappointed, man. I wanted to see it go the other way. I wanted Diaz to beat GSP and then Condon fight Diaz. Wasn't meant to be. I got Carlos Condon, second-round knockout.
Wow. Like you said, Mike, I'm torn too. I love both these guys. I got it exactly opposite than what you have it. I got Nick Diaz with a second-round TKO, because I just think this fight, definitely isn't going to end up on the ground, and if it does, I think both guys are going to get back up to their feet because, you know, Condon's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu with a pretty good game overall, and Diaz should have the edge down there, so I don't think Condon's going to want to stay down there. But at the same time, I just don't think Condon has the same level of striking that Diaz does. I think Diaz has quicker hand speed. He obviously works the body constantly, and I think he's going to wear him down in the first round, and I think he's going to catch him early in the second round and put him on his back. I just can't see it happening. I think Diaz definitely gets the interim title, setting up a shot with GSP later down the year.
Well, yeah, this is I think all three of us like both of these guys, and I think most fight fans like both of these guys because they bring it every fight to sound sort of cliche, but it's the truth. You know, Carlos Condon, like Golan said, he's had a tough run here in the UFC as far as competition. He's come in and he's fought Martin Kampmann, Jake Ellenberger, Rory McDonald, Dan Hardy, and DHK. So, you know, a couple of those guys, Ellenberger, McDonald, you know, they're talking about those guys getting title shots soon. And, you know, Carlos Condon, coming from the WEC, being their champion, he's gotten the upper echelon welterweights, and he's beaten most of them. You know, the stat about Carlos Condon is that's crazy. He's 27-5, and 26 of his wins are by stoppage. He's got 13 knockouts and 13 submissions. So he's a finisher, and he's incredibly well-rounded. Nick Diaz usually is much taller. He's a tall welterweight. He's got a reach advantage on most guys. Carlos Condon is about the same height as him. I'm sure Diaz has a bit of a reach advantage, though. Diaz also is a finisher. He's got 21 finishes in 26 career fights. If you look at the tail of the tape, it's so close. Diaz is 28. Carlos Condon's 27. They're both listed at 6'1". They have similar records. Carlos Condon made his pro debut in 2002. Diaz made his debut in 2001. You know, over the last few years, I would argue that Condon has faced higher level of competition than Diaz has. You know, both guys have incredible cardio. Probably the edge goes to Nick Diaz there. Both guys, I always say that there's two different kinds of fighters. There's guys that have great technique, and maybe they come from wrestling or they come from these different backgrounds, and they train really hard, and they have good game plans, and they're just very technical fighters. And you have other guys who are just scrappers. They like to fight. They don't mind getting hit. They like a bloody fight, and, you know, it just seems like they were born to do this. And to me, both of these guys are the rare combination of both of that. They're both very technical, and they both like to scrap. So it's going to make for an exciting fight. I think the difference between these two guys is the punching power, and I think that Nick Diaz is going to get caught. He gets caught sort of in every fight. There's a point where he gets caught square, and he's able to sort of shake it off. I think Carlos Condon's got that kind of punching power that if he catches him and he's got that killer instinct to finish him, that he will finish him, go have Carlos Condon knocked out in a second.
Wow, dude. All right. Well, I can't say that you're wrong on any of your points. I just think Nick has, you know, this chip on his shoulder, especially with all the bullshit, which of course he caused, but he's in his own mind he's blaming it on everybody else. That there ain't nothing going to stop him from taking that title. But you know, I won't be disappointed if it works out the way you guys are saying. I just can't see Diaz losing this fight at all.
You know what's fun about it, though? This fight is literally
Dick
counterpoint. And I was just going to say, Dick Hansen just made an amazing factor.
Right.
Diaz is 16-1-1 in his last 18. The no contest was a win over Japan's gift to MMA and Gomi because he failed his drug test because the dude likes to smoke a little weed. And he lost, and the one loss was a cut against KJ Noon. So that's amazing. You can't deny that. But then I would counterpoint that with Diaz got caught, and I thought he was going to get put out against Paul Daly, and that's a guy solely with hands and no takedown defense. Carlos Condon can get you with kicks, elbows, and hands, and that's what I think the difference is. I think Condon, to speak to Nick's point, hits extremely hard, and the guy he's the definition of a finisher, and I think we truly win no matter what happens here, because both of these guys match up amazingly against GSP, and for the first time in a while, both of them to beat GSP. I think it's going to be awesome, man. But I just think Carlos is going to catch him, and that's the difference. Nick needs to accumulate shots. Carlos can put you out at any point.
Yeah, with those body shots that he's going to be working, you don't need to accumulate too many of those before the guy starts fucking breathing heavy and start opening his mouth, and then all of a sudden you can plant one. But
yeah, but you can't rely on body shots,
like,
bro. Like that can't be like you can't rely on body shots. It's a great tool, but you know if me and Nick are
absolutely,
catching it,
if you're a boxer, you can throw like.
Dude, I'm pretty sure Carlos
absolutely you can.
bullshit. Carlos's camp is probably looking for the body shot, dude. If you're going in saying, I got to catch a couple body shots and I'm going to win this fight, I mean, again, to quote Nick Frank, if my aunt had a dick, she'd be my uncle. That can't be what you're hanging at.
Diaz's striking is way better than Condon. I love Condon. I'm not saying that I wouldn't be shocked if he does pull it out, but I'm sorry. Diaz's striking will open it up so he can land those body shots. He will find the openings. He has the better hand speed, but hey, it is a fight and anything can happen. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you, mainly because we're running low on time. We've got to move on with the card. But I just feel his hand speed and his combinations he can throw will open up those shots.
We'll see. That's the best part, man. Saturday.
That's what I have to say about that. So, yeah. All right, we're going to move on to the next the next fight. We pits Roy the Sandwich Nelson versus Fabricio Verdum. Franco, who you got here?
The Sandwich, I love it. You're the only person I ever hear refer to him as that, but it's good
It
stuff.
used to be his nickname. I'm bringing it back.
Yeah. Both of these guys are veterans. They've both been around forever. Nelson's 35, Verdum's 34. Both of the guys have fought in a bunch of different organizations. Big Country, solid 3-2 in the UFC in this last run here. But his loss is to the former champions Frank Mir and Dos Santos. He's got an awesome chin. He took a beating against Dos Santos. He was taking some big shots against Krokop before he came back and finished him. He's got great punching power. He's got underrated wrestling, and he's got top-level jiu-jitsu. Verdum, though, this guy's no joke. He's been fighting since 2002, and if you take a look at his fight record, he's fought a lot of top heavyweights. Alistair Overeem, Big Nas, Andrei Arlovsky, Junior Dos Santos, Fedor, Bigfoot Silva. So he's been around. He's a pride veteran, Strikeforce, UFC. Yeah, Gabe Gonzaga. He's an elite grappler. He's got a really good clinch game, and he showed improved striking. He was able to hang in there with Overeem, and actually some people thought he got the better of the striking with Overeem. And coming off that Fedor win, after he beat Bigfoot Silva, then he beat Fedor, then he fought Overeem in the Strikeforce Heavyweight Grand Prix. If that fight goes a little bit differently and Verdum gets that decision, or if he beats Overeem somehow, he could right now be in the title mix in the UFC. So one round maybe goes a little bit differently, and he could be fighting for a title. So he can't be underestimated. It's a very tough fight to pick. It can play out a lot of different ways. I think that Verdum's going to be able to use his height advantage and his clinch game to control the action, and his grappling is going to be slightly better, and I think he's going to win a hard-fought decision. I have Verdum decision.
Yeah, I got opposite here too, Franco. Roy Nelson is definitely very hard to put down. He's got a great chin. I think the only guy he's got one KO loss on his record. That was to Arlovsky. I guess I want to say 3 or 4 years ago now. Both these guys are high-level jiu-jitsu practitioners. If anything, I would give Verdum the edge to it, but Nelson's very hard to control on the ground, and especially depending on how big his belly is come fight time. So I really don't think this fight's going to stay there on the ground if it hits the mat. I think these guys are going to stay on their feet and try to throw, and I think Big Country has a slight edge on the feet, and I think he also has more power on the feet. So I don't see these guys going to sleep, or definitely not caught in a submission. So I got Roy Nelson winning a unanimous decision.
I figured the three of us were going to go this way as far as the outcome, and with three of us being in the mix, obviously it has to go 2-1. So it's certainly going to be up in the air. I think you guys really hit the nail on the head, so there's no need to repeat it. I don't see Verdum putting Big Country out on the feet, certainly, but I think he's going to be able to certainly hold his own and kind of go tit for tat with Big Country. I think he will be able to take Big Country down, but submitting him, I really don't think so. I think it's really going to be a chess match. It's going to be a really even match, and Verdum got beat by Dos Santos, but he got caught from one of the biggest uppercuts I've ever seen in my life. And Big Country, was able to go the distance with Dos Santos. So these guys have had some cross-pollination in opponents. I think it's going to be just a complete chess match, well drawn out. At the end of the day, though, just due to size and a little bit better jits, I think Verdum's going to win a decision.
Nice. I like that you guys are going against me because I can definitely bury you this Saturday.
You're due to have an off week, Dubs.
Absolutely not. It's perfect from here on out. Do I have to play the song again? Because I will.
I love it. I love it, Tom.
Why don't you go into an empty arena, throw a football and then sprint underneath it and catch it at the 50-yard line. Let's see if you can do that.
Do you know I can do that? I've done that before. You could. Next fight, it's Josh Koscheck versus Mike Pierce. I don't know. This on paper looks closer than I think it really is. Dolo, who you got?
Unfortunately, this is just going to keep Koscheck at 170. I think he's going to win the fight. I mean, Pierce is legit. He's a really good fighter. He's 5-2 in the UFC, and he's won 4 of his last 5, 10 of his last 12. So the guy's a winner. He wouldn't be here if he wasn't. He's got really good takedowns, and he loves the ground and pound. That'd be great if you were fighting anybody but Josh Koscheck. It's just not a winning combination. I don't know why Koscheck has abandoned the rumored campaign to go to 185, and at this point it has to be characterized as a rumor because we haven't seen it. He hasn't gone there, but I just don't know why he refuses to understand or care. And nobody gives a fuck about him at 170. You will never get another title shot unless GSP loses. He will be the biggest fan of Condit or Diaz after whoever wins this fight. He will be rooting for him tenfold, and so is his boy John Fitch. I think at the end of the day, though, even Koscheck he has world-class wrestling. I think he's going to be able to trade hands with Pierce. I think Pierce will oblige, because he's certainly somebody who likes to be on the feet as well as go to the ground. So I think it's going to be a good fight. I have Koscheck catching him early, though. I have Koscheck first-round knockout.
Yeah, I actually have the same exact pick as you, Mike. I think Koscheck is going to catch him early on in the first. I think, like you said, Pierce is definitely going to stand there and throw with him, which is going to be a mistake. Kosh has definitely improved his striking over the years. He's not just a one-dimensional wrestler anymore. And if somehow it does end up on the mat, like I said, on paper it looks a lot closer than it is, but I think Kosh will definitely dominate the wrestling game. He could take him out in different ways on the ground as well, work it back to the feet and then land a big shot. But I don't even see this one hitting the mat at all. I think Kosh, they're going to trade early, and Kosh is going to catch him and put him down.
I agree with you guys as far as Koscheck's going to win. I think it probably will play out a little differently. I think both guys have obviously wrestling bases. This fight's become a bit personal. I'm not sure if it's legitimate or if they're just sort of trying to hype the fight. But Mike Pierce sort of asked for this fight. He called Koscheck out. Koscheck came out recently and said that he wants to make an example out of Mike Pierce for calling him out and make sure nobody does it in the future. That nobody's going to make their name off of Josh Koscheck, yada yada yada. But I do think there are going to be some times where they're going to be exchanging on the feet, but I think the majority of the fight's going to be played out on the ground, and I think Koscheck will probably fight a smart fight, and I have Josh Koscheck's decision.
It's not a bad pick. I mean, they could both be rolling around down there for a while, but the next fight pits Renan Barrero versus Scott Spotty Jurgensen. Franco, who you got here?
Scott Jurgensen's sort of a journeyman. He's been around for a while. He's only 29. He is 2-0 in the UFC. He was 7-2 during his WBC run. Very well-rounded, good aggression, great conditioning. He's experienced. He's got some bigger fights than his opponents, but the kid that he's fighting, seems like one of the next stars at 135 that they're trying to build. 27-1. He lost his pro debut in 2005 and hasn't lost since. He's 27-0-1 since then. He's got 13 submissions. He's only 24 years old. He's got 29 professional fights. He trains with Jose Aldo. Solid jiu-jitsu, great striking. Like I said, I think they need some contenders at 135. I think Jorgensen's a big enough name to sort of feed to this kid. And I have Barrero sub in the first.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this one's actually going to go to the cards, Franco, just because I got a ton of respect for Jurgensen. I think he's a game fighter. He always comes out there and performs and, definitely goes out there to try to win the fight. A part of me's pulling for Jurgensen, but like you pointed out, Barrero, however you say his last name, he's an absolute beast. He's an animal. He hasn't lost in I forget how many years, and he's got 13 subs, 6 KOs. He has had 8 decisions, but the guy can definitely finish if he wants to. But this fight isn't going to get finished because I think Jurgensen's tough enough to gut it out to the end. But I definitely think Barrero wins a unanimous decision here.
I think this fight's going to come down to who's able to obviously dictate where the fight takes place. We can all be on Jorgensen's nuts. There's no doubt the guy is a legit fighter. He's a true test for anyone, even though it looks like somebody blew their nose all over him. I don't know what the fuck's going on with him. But you know, Barreo is just a completely different monster. As Doug had alluded to, he's got 13 submissions, but he does like to strike. He's got six finishes as well. So I just think he's so well-rounded. He hasn't lost a fight in 7 years. We could run through the stuff that's been repeated over and over, but I do think he's the next big thing at 135 and a legitimate guy after this fight and maybe another fight, you know, once we see what happens with Faber and Cruz, we see what, you know, this guy could be somebody who is up knocking on the door and he's 24 years old. I think Jorgensen, as game as he is, I just don't think he's going to be able to keep the pace off that Barreo wants. Barreo is going to be fast. Jorgensen's got great cardio, but I think he's going to be so unrelenting, there's just nothing he can do. I think Barreo gets the better of him on the feet. Last thing you want to do is go on the ground with this guy. We saw what happened when he got his guy hurt last time. He looked like he was out of the Matrix. He went to go pull to get his back, and the guy was literally on all fours. He jumped, slid a leg under, and then rolled his other leg right on his back. It was straight out of a movie. This kid is awesome. I think this is going to be his coming out party. I have Barreo in the second round stuff.
Wow, yeah. Barreo's definitely an animal, and it wouldn't be shocking if he doesn't, but Jorgensen's only been stopped one time in his career. That's why I think, you know, of course Barreo's got all the tools, dude, but I think Jorgensen's just going to gut it out and make it to the cards. But the last fight on the card pits Ed Herman versus Clifford Starks. What you got here, Della?
Oh, fuck. Yeah, dude, I don't know. I started breaking this one down, and all I kept hearing was short fuse yelling in my own head. That's all I could do, man. That's all I broke it down. Ed Herman, as much as I like to chew on him for the short fuse, he always is in a battle. He does like to test fighters' attrition. He has guessed in the past, but he's proven he's still hard to put out. He relies on his wrestling background, but, you know, he's certainly a guy who likes to stay in the clinch. Starks is only 1-0, so it's tough. I mean, he has a strong wrestling background at Arizona State. But he is a striker. He's a Muay Thai practitioner. He's a boxer with a wrestling base. That sounds like a dream template for a fighter. It's just a matter of, has he gotten those other areas in the striking game to the level that it needs to be? I really have no clue, so I don't know. Fuck it. I'll pick Clifford Starks first-round knockout.
Wow. Well, you know, this is the one that I think might have the possibility to end my streak of perfection. I wasn't really sure about this fight either. What was that, dude?
I just love the others are in the book. The other four are locks. This is the one he's worried about.
No, well, here's the thing. I'm going to take short fuse first-round KO myself because, like you pointed out, Mike, I really don't know all that much about Clifford Starks, but from researching the guy and stuff, he does like to throw, so I think he's going to come out and he's going to throw at Herman. I think Herman's got the power to put him out. This is what I wrestled with. I didn't know when it was going to happen, so I just decided to give up and say Ed Herman wins round 1 knockout.
Yeah, I think that Ed Herman, as much as we make fun of him, he's a solid fighter. He's won 3 of 4 and 2 straight. He's got knockout power and he's got above average submissions. He's tapped out a couple different people in the UFC. You know, Starks is, you know, he's 30 years old, but this is only going to be his second fight in the UFC. I don't know. I think experience is going to be a factor here, as well as Ed Herman's ability to finish. I have Ed Herman submission in the second.
Wow. All right. Well, maybe my Ed Herman pick ain't so bad, because I remember Franco used to be able to pick fights a while ago. He hasn't really picked them well the past 2 weeks, but, you know, that makes me feel a little bit better, because I thought I was going out on a limb. But I just don't know enough about Clifford Starks to trust him in there with Herman. But
hey, did you guys hear about Fear Factor? What happened? Apparently, they made these poor bastards chug a glass of a combination of donkey jizz and piss in the middle of, like, it was one of the steps, and then NBC wasn't sure if they were going to air it, and at the end of the day, they ruled they're not. So these poor fucks, especially the two teams that didn't win the $50,000, literally chugged donkey jizz for no reason.
Yeah.
Sounds like a delicious concoction.
For me, it might be a Tuesday night, but for others, they need to get paid for such things.
Those poor guys, that's what they get for that.
Stubbs would have busted out his funnel. I'm doing that show.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Just fucking keep pouring it in. I would have fucking held my breath forever swallowing that shit.
There's probably nerds out there. I was waiting for Dominic Casino to come in. I guess he doesn't like the show anymore, but Sheamus won the Royal Rumble.
Oh, nice. Fucking thank God. That's amazing. Well, we got 30 seconds, boyos. Anything else?
Take her home.
All right, everybody, remember to check out Roto Experts. Franco, the X-Lock's still functioning. Obviously, you wrote a beautiful article bashing the man, the myth, the legend, Chael Sonnen on it. So everybody go over to the xlog.com and check it out. Franco definitely spoke his mind there, albeit short and sweet. So the xlog.com, check out Nick Frank at nfrankrotox at Twitter. Follow me at Cauliflower, the number 4 ear, Twitter, I believe it is. I don't really look at it too much. And that's really about it. Dola, how do we do you?
When I said take her home, I was talking about my mother.
Oh. Well. We're Cauliflower for the year. We're tapping out.
Stop. That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.